You're at a family dinner or a party with people you've known for years. Everyone is laughing. Someone is telling a story you've heard before. You're nodding at the right moments, smiling when you're supposed to, saying the things that sound like you. And then it happens. For just a second, you step outside yourself. You watch your own hands reach for a glass. You hear your own voice finish a sentence. And something in you thinks, who is that person? Not in a dramatic way, not in a way that ruins the night. Just a flicker, a gap, a moment where the actor and the audience split apart, and you're somehow both at once. Most people feel this and move on. They assume it means something is wrong with them. Anxiety, disconnection, too much going on. But what if that moment isn't a malfunction? What if it's the only time you're actually seeing clearly? That feeling has a name, and when you understand the mechanism behind it, you won't want to make it stop, because it points to something most people never get to see about themselves. Something that's been operating beneath the surface of every conversation, every role, every version of you that you've ever performed for someone else. Stay with this. If questions like this are the kind that keep you up at night, subscribe to Otherwise Human. This is exactly what we do here, every week. In 1956, a sociologist named Erving Goffman published a book that made academics deeply uncomfortable. He argued that all of social life is a performance, not metaphorically, structurally. That every time you walk into a room, you're putting on a show. You have a costume, the way you dress for that specific context. You have a script, the things you know are expected of you. You have a stage, and the moment you step off stage into the back room, you become a different person entirely. He called it the presentation of self in everyday life, and the reason it made people uncomfortable is that it was obviously true. Think about who you are at work versus who you are with your oldest friend. With your parents versus with a stranger on a plane you'll never see again. Not fake, necessarily, but not the same. Different registers, different boundaries, different vocabularies, different amounts of yourself on display. You shift, constantly, automatically, without deciding to. And here's what Goffman noticed that most people miss. We don't experience this as exhausting because we don't experience it as performance. We experience it as just being. The shifts happen below the level of conscious choice. The mask and the face become indistinguishable. Until they don't. Until that moment at the dinner table when the actor and the audience split apart. Psychology has a term for this experience. It's called depersonalization. And before you close this tab, it doesn't mean what you think it means. Clinical depersonalization is a disorder. It's persistent, distressing, and interferes with daily life. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the mild, passing version that research suggests up to 75% of people experience at least once. That moment of watching yourself from outside, of feeling like a stranger in your own story. For most people, it's brief, harmless, and almost immediately suppressed, because it's deeply unsettling. And here's why. It reveals the gap. The gap between the self that is performing and whatever is watching the performance. William James, the father of American psychology, spent years trying to explain this gap. He divided the self into two parts. The me, the self as known. The version of you that has a history, a name, a set of characteristics, a role to play. The self that shows up at the dinner table with the right smile, and the I, the self as knower. The awareness behind the awareness. The part that watches the me perform and occasionally, in quiet moments, wonders who is actually in charge. Most of us live almost entirely in the me. We are so identified with the performance that we forget there's something doing the watching. The stranger feeling is the I, briefly surfacing. And when it surfaces, it is disorienting, because it exposes something the me works very hard to hide. The self you think you are is a construction, and the construction is always slightly behind the reality. Here's what neuroscience adds to this. The brain does not experience the present moment directly. Every sensation you have, every sound, every image, every feeling is processed, filtered, and assembled before it reaches conscious awareness. By the time you experience something, it has already happened. The brain is always narrating the past, presenting it as now. And the self is no different. The story you tell about who you are, your values, your personality, your consistent characteristics, is a narrative your brain constructs after the fact. You act, then your brain explains the action in a way that fits the story it already has about you. You didn't think of yourself as a generous person and then give the money. You gave the money, and then your brain filed it under. Generous person. This is not a flaw. It's how identity is built. Continuously. Retroactively. From the outside in. But it means something important. The you that you carry around, the one with the personality and the preferences and the consistent sense of self, is not the author of your life. It's the editor. If this is making something uncomfortable in you, that's exactly the point. There's a new question like this every week. Subscribe to Otherwise Human and send this to someone you think you know well. Now, here's where the stakes get larger than one person at a dinner table. Because this isn't just happening to you. Every group you belong to runs the same architecture. Your family has a role for you, the responsible one, the funny one, the difficult one. And you perform it, largely without choosing to. Your workplace has a version of you that is professional, measured, appropriate. Your friendships have versions of you calibrated to specific histories and expectations. None of these versions is false, but none of them is complete. And the terrifying implication, the one most people never sit with, is that there may not be a complete version anywhere. The real you that you're waiting to finally become, once everything settles, once you find the right relationship, or the right city, or the right job, may not be waiting anywhere, because the self is not a thing you find. It's a thing you keep making, in every room, in every role, in every conversation that asks something slightly different of you. Societies understand this, even when individuals don't. Every nation performs a version of itself for other nations, and a different version for its own citizens. Every religion constructs an identity for its members that functions exactly like Goffman's stage. The costume, the script, the performance, the backstage where the mask comes off, briefly, before the next act begins. The stranger feeling scales up. The gap between performance and awareness is not a personal quirk. It's structural. It's everywhere. But here's the objection most people arrive at by now. If the self is a performance, does that mean nothing I do is genuine? Does it mean I'm just hollow? Underneath? No. And the distinction matters. A performance is not the opposite of authenticity. It is the mechanism through which any social animal exists. You cannot have a relationship without performing some version of yourself for another person. You cannot have a society without shared constructions of identity. The performance is not the lie. It's the interface. The question is not whether you perform. The question is whether you know you're performing, whether you have access to the gap, the I watching the me, or whether you've collapsed so completely into the role that the watcher has gone silent. Because when the watcher goes silent, something else happens. You start performing for an audience that isn't there. You start making decisions based on a version of yourself that was constructed for a context that no longer exists. You live inside a character that was written for a younger person, in different circumstances, with different stakes. And you never notice, because there's no gap anymore to notice from. The second objection is subtler. This sounds like dissociation, like a mental health symptom. Should I be worried when this happens? The clinical version, persistent, involuntary, distressing, is real and deserves attention. If you're experiencing that, speak to someone. But the passing version, the moment at the dinner table, the flicker of watching yourself from outside, is not a warning signal. It is a perceptual opening. The difference is what you do with it. Clinical dissociation is an escape from an unbearable present. The moment we're describing is a temporary clarity about a present that is entirely bearable, just suddenly visible in a way it normally isn't. One is the self breaking down. The other is the self briefly showing its seams. So we return to the dinner table. Everyone is still laughing. Someone is still telling that story. Your hands are still reaching for the glass. And the gap opens again. This time, you don't try to close it. You stay there for a moment, in the space between the actor and the audience. You notice the performance without stopping it. You feel, briefly, the weight of every role you've ever played and the strange lightness of the thing behind them. The self is not a thing you have. It's a thing you do. Continuously. In every room. For every audience, including the one inside your own head. And the stranger feeling, the one you've been trying to shake since the first time it happened, is not evidence of a self that's broken. It's evidence of a self that's awake enough to see the machinery. Most people never get that. If that question stayed with you, share this with someone you want to look at more clearly, and subscribe to Otherwise Human. New episode every Saturday. The moment you feel most like a stranger is the moment you're closest to yourself.